The Great Raid on Cabanatuan, the largest rescue mission in American history. On the night of January 30, 1945, a P-61 Black Widow night fighter backfired its engine and performed acrobatics in the skies above the infamous Pangasinan detention camp in Cabanatuan City, Philippines. It was the perfect distraction for infiltrating a big assault group more than 27 miles behind enemy lines to rescue almost 500 Allied POWs and civilians. The Great Raid, the most daring raid of World War II, is considered as one of the most effective hostage rescue operations in U.S. military history. They didn't practice the operation. On August 1, 1944, the Japanese Vice Minister of War sent a secret communication to Taiwan's commanding general of military police, indicating a kill-all policy for American POWs under certain conditions. In January 1945, General Douglas MacArthur learnt that over 500 POWs and civilians, many of whom had survived the fall of Corregidor and the Bataan Death March, were to be executed. He assigned the rescue mission to the U.S. Army's most elite soldiers, including 121 Army Rangers from the 6th Ranger Battalion and 2 teams of Alamo Scouts 6th Army Special Reconnaissance Unit. They were reinforced by 200 Filipino guerrillas with excellent knowledge of the area. The Rangers were in responsibility of the assault, while the Alamo Scouts were in charge of advance reconnaissance and observation. With the help of the local community, the Filipino guerrillas assured that their infiltration would not alert Japanese sentries. They also served as a defensive position to stop a Japanese counterattack from crossing the Cabu Bridge. Robert Prince, the Army Ranger attack leader, recalled, "We couldn't rehearse this. Any task of this kind should typically be practiced repeatedly over the course of several weeks. Learn more, create models, and talk about every possibility. Work out all of the kinks." There was no time for any of it, whether it was now or not. To gather intelligence, the Alamo Scouts disguised themselves as Filipino villagers. Ahead of the Ranger assault group, 2 squads of Alamo Scouts advanced over 30 miles into hostile territory. Based on their initial observations, they recommended delaying the mission by 24 hours, since they believed that a raid on January 29 would be suicide if the assault team had to engage approximately 1,000 Japanese soldiers stationed nearby. The following day, Lieutenant Bill Nellis drew closer to the camp, getting within a few hundred yards, to bring timely, accurate information. There was an abandoned shack with a vantage point that might be used to hide in plain sight. Nellis and Rufo Vacular, a Filipino-American, pretended to be Filipino farmers and covered their faces with straw hats. They easily strolled into the hut. They spent the entire 2 hours detailing every inch of the POW camp because they could see right into it. 3 more Alamo Scouts crept to their position, took Nellis' report, and crept back to deliver it to the Rangers. Filipino Captain Juan Pajota used water buffaloes to evacuate the sick and wounded. The Alamo Scouts rejoined with the Rangers outside the camp after providing much-needed strategic and tactical intelligence. The Rangers started their assault at night. Juan Pajota, a clever Filipino captain, also suggested employing local villagers and water buffalo carts to transport the sick and injured back to friendly lines, in addition to using an airplane as a distraction overhead. The guerrillas were successful in preventing a Japanese counterattack by blocking the Cabu Bridge. The 30-minute raid against more than 500 Japanese forces was a surprising success, despite the deaths of 2 Army Rangers. With 106 water buffalo carts and almost 500 POWs, the rescue force crossed through to friendly lines. 3 years of suffering at the hands of the Japanese captors were over, and the world started to learn about the conditions inside the POW camp and the horrible torture of those who had survived the Bataan Death March. Arthur Bull Simons was part of the Cabanatuan Assault Force years before he served as a ground force commander on the legendary Sun Tay raid. Fast forward to 1970, when Simons was a colonel serving with MacVerner SOG in Vietnam. 5 hours before the MacVerner SOG team launched the Sun Tay raid, he spoke to the team. "And if we walk into a trap, if it turns out that they know we're coming, don't dream about walking out of North Vietnam unless you've got wings on your feet," he said. "We'll be 100 miles from Laos. It's the wrong part of the world for a big retrograde movement. If there's been a leak, we'll know it as soon as the 2nd or 3rd chopper sets down. That's when they'll cream us. If it happens, I want to keep this force together. We will back up to the Song Con River and by Christ, let them come across that goddamn open ground." We'll make them pay for every foot across the son of a bitch. Thanks for watching.